Good evening. I'm Reverend Gary Kanye, and I'm so delighted you were able to join us this evening. This is our Wednesday healing and meditation service, and you're in for a treat because we've got Bob Deschner and Dottie Goodson from Vet Trip, and they've got wonderful tools, a big toolbox to handle what's going on in our lives. With no further delay, I'm going to turn it over to Bob and Dottie. So here they are. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Gary. We're so glad to be here. This has been our church for many years, and this congregation has been the people that helped us put together Vet Trip in 2009. Sure. Dottie and I are so glad to be here. I've been our congregation, our church, for many years, and this congregation was with us from the beginning of Vet Trip starting in 2009. So it's good to be here and be back. We drive in from San Antonio, and we're just thrilled to be here with Owen and Gary tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about Vet Trip, and then turn it over or show you demonstrate some of the techniques we use with our veterans that have high pain and high stress. Then Dottie's going to work with you and show you some of the EFT techniques that she goes with. And then we'll have a question and answer period at the end. So stick around. I know Leslie's going to be sending out an outline of our talk, and we're going to be making videos of it. But if you stick around, you can ask your own questions towards the end of the hour. So, Vet Trip's mission is to honor and empower veterans, service members, their families, and caregivers with PTSD or post-traumatic stress, chronic pain, and related symptoms to create healthy, happy, and productive lives, which is the goal that we all should have. We take people that are really stressed out, really burned out. I've been there. And with a little help from our friends, we show them how to relax. In our population, in our world, stress and pain are the two ends of the spectrum that cause all sorts of problems. So when the stress goes up, like it's being now with the COVID-19 pandemic, it shows up as pain, it shows up as fear, it shows up in depression, it shows up in insomnia and many, many other ways. So we think that promoting relaxation, comfort, and better sleep is going to improve just about anything and everything. When we were doing live hands-on programs, as recently as March the 6th, we had a large room that we would set up 8 to 16 massage tables. We'd have anywhere between 15 and 25 service providers that did energy work, licensed massage therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, and many others there. And we would serve anywhere between 16 and 40 veterans on those days. Here's another shot of the same room, and you can see all 16 tables were set up and the many people walking around and working with different veterans that are draped under the comforters. Obviously, we can't do that now, but even without hands-on, we've come up with some techniques that will work. So look at it from this point of view. Try some of the techniques we are showing you, and if you like it, it's free. You can do it every day. There's no limitations on it. If you find out what works for you, then you can improve that with practice. And then it's a process of integrating more things together to make it better, and then to customize it for yourself, and then optimize it for the best outcome. We already have some videos on our YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube and look for Vet Trip and notice the spelling, TRIIP. There's a Finland rock group, I think, that has something similar in spelling, so they're really obnoxiously loud. But go to the YouTube channel and like it and subscribe if you would. That gets us more reach. But here's one of the basic techniques that we use all the time. We call it Vet Trip Parade Rest because our veterans know what parade rest is. It's literally what is shown up there, where somebody's standing in a relaxed attention. They call it at ease. And any veteran would know about this because they at some time in their career stood for 4 to 5 to 8 hours at a time. You can do it standing up. It's just one hand over the other one. You can use one hand at a time, or you can move it up and down your back, whatever's comfortable and wherever it hurts. And then we intensify the effect by doing some deep, relaxing breathing with open mouth exhale, and some visualization. So the visualization is to imagine the palm of your hands being very, very warm, which kind of tends to cool the back of your hands and your low back. And then when you breathe, take a big, deep breath slowly, and then a big exhale with open mouth, like this. So if you can all join with me, I'll do 3 breaths at each of these positions, just starting out with unblocking or releasing. Visualizing the palm of your hands warm. And once more. Notice you can sit and do this like Dottie's doing, or you can do it laying in your bed. You don't have to stand up. The next step is to energize it. Hopefully your hands are kind of warm from visualizing the warmth, so you can put them wherever it feels good and you can comfortably reach, anywhere from your back and to below your belt or your hips. And then you put that warmth into your back. So 3 slow, deep breaths. Ready? Once more. And once more. By this time, hopefully your back's starting to feel a little bit warm and a little bit better. Maybe the pain is going down a little bit. And so the last step of this technique is to rebalance and to allow that warmth to sink down your legs to your feet. So you can do it very simply by pointing your 2 fingers and drop them by the side of your legs and just direct that warmth down your legs into your feet. If this technique works for you, you can do it multiple times a day. Gary's already started yawning because it does tend to relax people. And this is one of our very basic techniques that we use. The second one we use is called the salute, because our people have things that hurt and our people are very, very stressed. So I'm going to have to work around the microphone and stuff here. The basic technique is the back of your hand on the right side of the neck. So you can use either hand if you need to, but you're going to be using your left hand, so I'll show you something else in a minute. So you can use the back of the hand. The same technique. You visualize making the palm of your hand warm and do 3 open mouth exhales. That tends to be very relaxing. It actually calms the vagal nerve that's descending on the right side. There's some evidence and research showing that you can do that with injections, but it does the same thing as a small to back with the vet trip parade rest. Just do that. And then to help kind of, this part of the brain is where you get depressed if you don't have good energy or circulation in it. And this part on the left side, right off the apex point, is where it's called the alertness point in acupuncture. It's a nice point to just calm awareness. So you can do the hook 'em horn sign with your left hand and put it just left of center, about 1 inch, back of the hand on the right side, and then do 3 slow, deep breaths, again making your hands warm, the palm of your hands warm. Breathe out with open mouth. And once more. And if you're really good, you can yawn while you're doing it, so it means that it's working. A lot of times when people with very high stress or they have headaches or migraines, this is really a great way to do that. And if you get that point just right up here, a lot of times if you're feeling kind of down, you feel better. So this may not be the only thing you use. You may use many, many techniques in order to enhance the effect, but these are the 2 basic techniques we show everybody. Now, the third one, there's somebody on the internet that does a fabulous job on that, and that is Heather Wibbles from Lexington, Kentucky, and the link is on the bottom of the slide there. But we've modified it, and I've had people that have just really blinding headaches and migraines come in, and we'll do this with them and show them how to do it, and it feels better. Sometimes they go away, sometimes it doesn't, but if you do the salute and then this, it seems to work pretty well. So the first step is to tap on the inside of your collarbone. That's above the collarbones. The collarbones are these bones right here at the top of your chest. And you can go through the clothing. I happen to be doing it on my skin. And it's just a really light tap. If you have fingernails, you're going to have to figure out how to do it without poking yourself. And just do 20 or 30 taps. Heather says you ought to do 50 to 100, so she really gets into the tapping part of it. But what that does is it relaxes the lymph nodes in the back of your head. And this is the part that's kind of interesting. If you reach to the back of your head and just slowly wipe down, you may feel there's a whole lot of bumps here. Now, I have this wire here I can't mess with, so I'm having to go around it. But just slowly wipe down the back of your head. If you have bumps that hurt, don't squeeze on them that hard until they start getting soft, and then you can really move that fluid around and flush it out. Some of you will find that you have big old bumps that you think are bone because they're so hard. And others may have big old, just puffy areas that you can kind of squeeze out. It's that simple to use. And you can do this in bed at night. You can do it sitting. You can do it just about anywhere except for driving. You don't want to reach back there and do that. But if you'll do the tapping like that, and then come back here, and go to the YouTube site with Lymphatic Drainage by Heather Wibbles. She does a great job. She has multiple videos on there. She's a massage therapist. The first one is the one that the link is there, and she'll show you a much better, more sophisticated way of doing that technique. The other thing that we do now, almost with every veteran that comes in the door, is battlefield auricular therapy. It's a fancy way of saying you point your finger in your ear and you find the acupressure points, and if you can put some energy in there or just massage them, it might have an effect on another part of the body. See, in acupuncture, you don't have to put the needles where it hurts. You put it on something else that's related to something else that increases circulation and reduces pain. So instead of looking at all the fancy little dots and stuff on that ear, there's two basic areas that you're going to be interested in. This part right here, on the lower part of the ear, on the back part of the lower part of the ear, you can rub the outside of that ridge, you can rub the inside of it, or you can rub right along the outside of the rib itself. And if you'll massage that, you'll find that this goes to the head, a little bit higher is the neck, and then that's the shoulders. It's like giving yourself a head, neck, and shoulder massage. And the veterans, when this works for them, it's really convenient because they can do it at work, they can do it just about anywhere, and it just works. Others, not so much, but find the ones that work for you. The other set of points is up here on the top part. In the front of the ear, there's that ridge. And if you go to the center of the ear, that's the back, which goes to the knees. Halfway up to the next point is the calves. And then this point here where you kind of have a depression right there where the ridge goes down, that's the feet and the tailbone. So if you're sitting a lot or if you had injuries to your tailbone, you can put your finger there, and a lot of times your feet feel better. This is one of my favorite points. This is one of the points that made a tremendous difference for me, and notice you can use both at the same time. For those of you that happen to have feet problems, using the little finger and either side of the fingernail at the base of the nail, you can actually rub that at the same time. You can alternate between doing these ear points and doing the finger points. And we've gotten some really great success reported back from many people that we've worked with since we started using that technique. Again, if you want to go online, you can find information about battlefield auricular therapy. But you can also look at reflexology. We have a train coming through, so we do sound therapy when we have a service here. because that deep rumbling of the train is really, really good for relaxing your back and neck and shoulders. So we use that energy, whatever energy we can. We also like to use soft, soothing music, but you don't have to. The points work even without that. So look up reflexology on the internet and look at hand reflexology, look at feet reflexology, look at ear reflexology, and see what works for you. Play around with it. There's no rules about what works or doesn't because it's you. You're unique. We have a thing we call Qigong 5 Clouds meditation, and when you're done doing all this is a great way to just relax your body and flush out toxins and make things work better. But I'm going to send you to the YouTube channel, the Vet Trip YouTube channel. We already have a video specifically on the Qigong 5 Clouds meditation. So I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and do that. Again, if you'll like it and subscribe, you'll get more information from us as we send it out, but also helps us get the word out to people. Once these techniques work for you, we call it locking it in. We start with a prayer before we get started, and then we do these techniques, and then we lock it in. And the best way to do that is to just tap on the side of the hand. Dottie's going to show you about how to do this in a minute with EFT. But you just tap it in and visualize your whole body and how it feels. Obviously, you can do this sitting down. And if you're feeling better, just sitting there and tapping and feeling how your body feels sets that memory in place so that when you're hurting in the future, you can always come back to this state. You can always come back to this relaxed state of feeling better, less pain, more comfort. And after you do this for a little while, think about what puts a smile on your face. Whatever it is, it could be grandchildren, it could be children, it can be your favorite thing to do or be a presence in, or maybe a nice prayer or something that's meaningful to you. And use that joy, that happiness that comes along with putting a smile on your face and lock that feeling in of feeling good. And the more you do this when you're not stressed and not in pain, the easier it becomes, the more practiced you are, and the better it works when you are in a lot of pain. And we've had a lot of veterans that are extreme, intense pain and stress tell me that they can come back to this state quickly by doing that. So we're going to divert the questions till the end, but know that we'll be able to ask questions. And I want now Dottie to go over briefly emotional freedom technique. There's a lot more you can learn. There's links on the internet, but Dottie's going to talk about emotional freedom technique or the tapping technique. Dottie?
EFT, emotional freedom technique or tapping. This involves tapping on your own acupuncture points, and it's a way to help you process stress or pain or whatever's going on to help you feel better mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. This was discovered by a psychologist that was working with people with phobias like fear of water, fear of heights, and he said they were coming to way too many talk therapy sessions and just not getting any better until he discovered that if he had them tap on these certain acupressure or acupuncture points while they did the same type of talk therapy, they got better very fast and permanently. And he had a very complicated system, but other people have simplified it, and that's what I'll share with you tonight. You can follow along with me in doing the tapping and repeat these phrases after me. We focus on some problems, but we also balance that with some very positive statements. And you'll know when I get a little over halfway through that the positive statements are going to reflect unity principles. And this is not something I can do at Vet Trip, but I'm excited to be able to do it here for this audience. To get started, just kind of scan your body and see where you're holding your stress. Is it in your neck and shoulders? Is it in your head or your stomach? Where are you tight or feeling stressed? And maybe you're not at all. But usually when we're stressed, if we tune into our bodies, we can kind of feel where that's kind of living. And on a 0 to 10 scale, ask yourself, how tight is that stress place, or does it hurt? 0 would be no stress or no hurt. 10 would be the worst on that scale. So follow along with me, and you can see the points on the screen there, but don't try to focus on those or remember, because you're going to have links where you can check into this more. But we're going to start on what they call the side of the hand, or the karate chop point. Just tap either hand, not too hard, not too lightly, and you're going to repeat after me. So we start with these kind of negative statements are going to reflect what's going on in our world today, but we will be balancing those with more positive things. So repeat after me. Even though the world has changed so fast,
Even though the world has changed so fast,
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though I have been fearful and worried,
Even though I've been fearful and worried,
I am safe and okay.
I am safe and okay.
Even though I don't know what to expect,
Even though I don't know what to expect,
I have faith.
I have faith.
Now go to the eyebrow, close to the nose, with 2 fingertips, and say, sometimes I get so worried.
Sometimes I get so worried.
Side of the eye on the bone, sometimes I get scared.
Sometimes I get scared.
Under the eye on the bone. What if I get sick?
What if I get sick?
Under the nose. I don't get to go to church anymore.
I don't get to go to church anymore.
Under lips. I don't get to see my friends.
I don't get to see my friends.
All the social distancing
All the social distancing
and masks,
and masks,
washing hands and sanitizers,
washing hands and sanitizers,
and no hugs.
and no hugs.
People out of work.
People out of work.
So stressful.
So stressful.
So sad.
So sad.
But I can't help anybody by worrying.
But I can't help anybody by worrying.
I want to let go of worry.
I want to let go of worry.
I choose to be positive.
I choose to be positive.
I choose to turn to God.
I choose to turn to God.
I choose to turn to God within me.
I choose to turn to God within me.
I feel my connection to God.
I feel my connection to God.
I feel the divinity within me.
I feel the divinity within me.
I claim God's peace.
I claim God's peace.
I fill myself with light
I fill myself with light
and love and spirit.
and love and spirit.
I see all my loved ones
I see all my loved ones
filled with love and light and spirit.
filled with love and light and spirit.
I see the world filled with love and light and spirit.
I feel the world filled with love and light and spirit.
And we'll end right here and say, thank you, God.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Okay, hands down. Kind of look down, take a deep breath, let it out slowly with open mouth exhale, and just see what you notice. And you had that 0 to 10 scale number when we started. What's that number now? I hope it's relaxed some. I hope you've kind of let go. Feel more of that relaxed, peaceful God-mind state. We'll provide the links for you if you want to check this out. Some of the links maybe do some things a little bit differently than I was doing, but that's fine. It all works. It's all good. You can use the right hand or the left hand. You can do both hands, or you can alternate. It's whatever
you can use
works
one
for
finger
you.
or 2 fingers.
It's very adaptable.
The links are showed on screen right now if you want to see them, and we'll post them later.
And those are all very good websites. When you do this for yourself, you get very personal. Whatever you say is yours. It's whatever's bothering you and whatever positive things you want to say to help lift yourself out of that. But make it very personable. It's something you can do any number of times a day. And some people say to me, well, that's so negative. I don't want to say all those negative things. And so if you're not feeling stress or pain, you certainly don't need to say all those negative things. The process of letting go of something that's deeply emotional or upsetting means, in this EFT technique, you need to let your brain know what it is that's bothering you so that it can release exactly that topic. And what's going on is your brain's all upset and worried and feeling all these symptoms when you're talking about this, but you're balancing it with these messages that go through the acupuncture points, through the body. It's called the meridian system, sending messages to the brain and the gut for just calming down, for letting go of the stress, for getting you back to center. But saying all the positive things is great too. You can say affirmations, tapping these to get your day going in the morning. You can do it kind of slow and easy tapping right before going to bed, or it helps some people get ready for a meditation. There's just countless uses. And some people like to just use one point, just to calm down. I'll tell you, most of our veterans use this point right here, either hand. And that may be because the acupuncture points for anxiety are in here somewhere, and there's some others too, but this just seems to work really well for the veterans. But as we tell the veterans, find what works for you and just go with it. Use it when you're not upset, so you kind of get used to it, and then the body starts to respond faster and better when you do need it. If you have some questions, we'll be glad to take on those. But I hope you'll follow through with this and everything we're presenting to make it your own. Okay.
There's some other finger points that we have on that
thank
slide
you.
as well.
Yes, there is a system where you can tap on acupressure points and do the tapping this way. But with our veterans, I didn't think that they would want to be out in public doing this, so I modified it to say, the points are at the base of each fingernail. You can just kind of press and twist each finger and the thumbs. See if you like that. See if that works for you. It's easy to do in your lap. It's really easy for kids if they're under a lot of pressure at school, taking tests. They can do this just sitting in their desk with their hands under the desk, not very noticeable. And
I'll
some
remind
people,
you that the little finger is the one that's the tailbone and the feet, so you can do that one in particular.
and I think that's probably why one of the biggest veterans I've ever known, I'm not talking about weight, I mean this physically, he was actually still in the Army, he was active duty. He told me he doesn't need to do all this stuff, he just needs to do this with his pinky. And I was honored. I was absolutely honored that he would tell me that. I was a little surprised that he would open up and use the word pinky, but that's one of my favorite memories with Vet Trip. Some people use 2 or 3 points. Some people have a combination. It's whatever works for you. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dottie. Dottie teaches this as part of our program, and she's been able to talk to people on the phone and coach them through this from scratch and get the kind of results. Owen, do you have a question that came up?
Gary.
Gary. Okay. We have pauses throughout here to allow you to send in questions. So if you're online and you want to send in a question to Leslie, she'll transport it to Gary and the magic of IT, and we'll be there.
Just came through.
Okay.
How much time do you need to spend daily with these practices?
That's really easy to answer, as long as it takes to give you a result, a benefit.
Could you repeat the question, please?
So the question came in, how long do you need to do these techniques daily? And my response has always been from a practical point of view. I do the things that work for me on a regular basis, and I do them as long as it takes to get the results. When I got the flu and feeling terrible, it takes longer. I may be doing it for 30 minutes or more. If that gives me relief, that's really good. If I have something that just goes away, I'm done. It's like, brushing your teeth in the morning and brushing your teeth when you go to bed at night. It's something you do for maintenance. And so do what works for you. Again, this can be customized and optimized for your results. Thank you for the question. And Gary, just raise your hand if you got some more questions coming in. We'll go ahead and go through the next section. We're going to be talking about Life's Simple 7. Now, many organizations, from the Cancer Society to rheumatoid arthritis to American Heart Association and many other organizations, have sponsored decade-long, multiple decades-long, 50, 60, 70-year studies with 100,000 to 250,000 people. Some of them are quite famous, where they worked with nurses and others. But what they were looking for is trying to tease out the data after 40, 50, 60 years, what things that cause the risk of having more heart attacks, more strokes, cancer, lung problems like COPD, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and depression. What causes those things to occur? Are there lifestyle practices that you're doing that increase the risks of that? And they came up with 7 things. It's very simple. If you improve these 7 things, you can virtually eliminate 80% of what kills you. But more importantly, it improves the quality of your life, as well as helping you feel better and living longer. So it's fairly simple. Get active, eat smart, and lose weight. Now, it may be tough to do. One of the artifacts of the coronavirus that they haven't talked a lot about, one of the symptoms is weight gain. And I have a lot of friends and myself that have put on 5 to 10 pounds from sitting at home, eating all that good comfort food, watching TV, being on the computer. So getting out and walking. Now, the recommendation is from the CDC, and many of the states are saying don't expose yourself to other people, social distancing, don't go outside. But here, we're in Texas, folks. You can walk in your backyard and not see anybody. You can walk up and down your street, and when somebody's on the other side or on your side of the street, cross over. There's very little traffic in the neighborhoods right now. So we're walking 30 minutes to an hour a day, and that is good exercise. Other people are getting active just by working around their backyard, getting sunshine, getting the heat, getting the humidity. That's all really good for taking out viruses of all kinds. Hopefully the coronavirus will be seasonal, and this summer we're going to see that those things, sunshine, heat, and humidity, are going to reduce the incidence. Eating smart, we could spend all day on that, and we're going to be putting more videos on eating smart. We have a host of things that we talk about that's really good for people that are stressed and a lot of pain. Eating Primrosol and fish oil, high quality source of those is very good. Vitamin D3 and K2. So a lot of magnesium in your diet. Those 3 supplements are very, very good to reduce pain and stress and even depression for the fish oil and evening primrose oil and magnesium. One of the cheats you can do to lose weight is don't eat after dark. If you'll not eat after dark, you can eat 25% more without gaining weight, or you lose 25% more weight when you try to lose weight if you don't eat after dark, which is kind of tough sometimes because all those food commercials, snack commercials come in after 9 o'clock when you're watching a movie. So be careful about that. Eat smart, get a lot of fresh produce. Our local stores like H-E-B, they're full of produce. Produce is not the problem right now. You run out of toilet paper and sanitizers, but produce is right up there. And so I go once a week and get fresh produce that I can eat along with all the canned foods and the other things we're eating. So eat smart, lose weight, get active. Those 3 things are going to impact the next 3 things: controlling your cholesterol, managing your blood pressure, and reducing blood sugar. Your nutrition and your activity levels are going to make a major impact on those things. And again, they're simple, but they may be difficult, and you may need to have some medications to do that. The 7th thing is the really, really smart one to do, because 30% of all geriatric health and other health problems come from smoking tobacco. And so just stop smoking is going to make a major benefit. To do that, sometimes it's useful to understand what smoking does for you. It actually calms you down if you're addicted. It actually reduces circulation if you have a migraine, some kind of migraines. The smoking makes them go away. But it sets you up for another migraine is the problem with that. But what we found, and there's clinical studies showing this, is smoking doubles the pain intensity if you have something that's hurting. And it cuts the circulation so it won't heal. So we have people that are hypnotherapists, we have people that are acupuncturists that help our smokers get away from smoking. And if you want to contact us at our website, you can do that. So Gary, you got a question?
What would you suggest for teachers and students going through this new method of learning? Is there a technique to help focus?
Actually, that's a good question because both the tapping technique and the parade rest. Oh, I'm sorry. The question is for teachers and students, what can they do to help their learning in this new technique of being online with videos and verbal and social distancing? And it really has to do with being alert and aware and calm, because you can think more clearly if you're calm. And there's clinical studies now on using EFT with school children and with test taking with adults and children to calm them down, make them more alert, and get better performance on tests. I've been told by our veterans that are in colleges that doing the vet trip salute does that as well. I've started using this technique with my son who has epilepsy, and I've used it on other patients that have had epileptic seizures. And I do this right after the seizure, and it clears their mind and relaxes them, and they're able to think more clearly in just 5 or 10 minutes. So those two techniques are particularly good. And the links that Dottie showed you, there's a lot of information and testimonials about how to use EFT and get those kind of benefits. Thank you for the question. I appreciate that. So these 7 things are really, really good to do. And when you first got off for the coronavirus, it's like a vacation. I know at least it was for me. I splurged, I binge-watched, I ate all the comfort food. But it's been 3 or 4 weeks into it, and I'm kind of tired of that. And now's the time to get back into shape. Now's the time to do some of those projects we've been waiting on. There's all sorts of relaxation for tax time and stuff. But it's a great time to read the books, learn the things, experience things you've not been able to do around the house and at home, and reestablish communication with people you haven't seen for a while. These lifestyle simple 7, though, are really, really good to do and focus on. I'll add one more to it, and it's something they forgot about, and it has to do with sleep. And a lot of times our sleep is disruptive. I know for the first several weeks when I was watching shows late at night and I was working on the computer and whatnot, my sleep was disrupted. I was sleeping more during the day and not sleeping in the middle of the night. So if you'll go to Dr. Mercola's website, we'll show you that link at the end, and focus on some techniques for sleeping. The relaxation techniques like this, the tapping technique also works for that. And of course, if you're hurting, 70% of insomnia is caused by pain. And if you can do some of these techniques to get relief. I will tell you that almost all the techniques that we come up with have been based on acupuncture, or traditional Chinese medicine. And if you really have serious medical problems, you really need to, contact a licensed medical professional or contact an acupuncturist and make arrangements so that they can see you and use needles, because they're a heck of a lot more powerful than just touching acupressure points. Just like eating food, there's a way to get more bang for the buck, and you don't eat after dark. If you do exercise with a smile on your face, it actually gives you 25% more benefit. It actually increases the effect. You don't have to walk as far. You don't have to run as far. You can eat more food and gain more weight. Lose more weight if you'll do it. Put a smile on your face. But any of the things that I have on the screen there, even gardening, even singing in a choir, slow, adaptable exercise like yoga and qigong and tai chi. If you can get to a swimming pool that is still open, but when they open again, you can do that. But just gardening in the backyard. I have a lot of medical health professionals that tell me they're doing wonderful projects in the backyard in gardening, and their kids are loving it because they're able to do stuff with their parents. Meditation and mindfulness and prayer is something we all can do and benefit from. If you're having a hard time getting relaxed with your mindfulness or your meditation, go to passage meditation. Look that up on the internet. And passage meditation will give you some affirmations or prayers that you can do that keep your mind there talking and gabbing to just calm down and relax so you can actually do a quiet meditation. Yes, another question, Gary.
Have those who practice EFT, brain rest, etc., been able to reverse a diagnosis?
Reversing a diagnosis is, the question came in is, using these techniques that we're demonstrating and talking about, have people been able to reverse a diagnosis? Reversing a diagnosis is incredibly difficult to do, both from the medical side, the political side, and the economic side. So we don't get into that with our veterans. What we do is we measure what their pain and stress scores are every time they come in and every time they leave. And then over time, as they come back and back to the subsequent sessions, we see that their pain scores are reduced. They come in very, very high intensity, 7 or higher on a 10-point scale where 10's the max. And 70% of our veterans come in at 70% or higher on pain scores of 7 or higher. They're slowly dying. They're just in agony. They're not getting good sleep. The meds are not working. The counseling hasn't worked. Those are the people we see are the worst of the worst. And when they come back to us on any given time, they're reduced on average 60, 70% on their pain and stress scores. That'll get them below 3. But more importantly, when they come in the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, they're saying, this really works. This point is the point that I really get great results with. And when they start coming in at 3 and they used to come in at 9 or 10, yeah, it's working for them because the techniques we're showing you can be done every day. If you have a relapse, if you have a car accident, or if you have an injury that makes it worse again, you can go back to the same techniques and get that kind of benefit. So in general, yes, our veterans are telling us that they're improving, and long-term, their lives are improving, and that's what's really important. Yes, another question.
At the beginning of Dottie's tapping affirmation technique, my stress level came in at 7 to 8. At the end of it, it was 0. I was so surprised. Thank you, Bob and Dottie.
All right.
We have a testimonial coming that she came in at the beginning of Dottie's tapping technique. She was 7, and when she was done, it was 0. Dottie and I say, thank you, God, every time that happens. It blows my mind, and it humbles me every time we're in the presence of somebody and been able to help somebody, and they come back with a story like that.
And believe it or not, there's a lot of science and research that's gone into tapping and how it helps, and you don't need to know all that, but for some people that's comforting to know that people have researched very diligently, trial after trial, and especially with veterans with post-traumatic stress, that would be one of the toughest groups to work with to help. So if you're a person who's into science and wants all that, it is available on some of the websites that we.
That's the 8-hour presentation.
Yeah, that gets into a lot
and it
more.
puts you to sleep very well.
Yeah, but it literally, it's whatever works for you. And so to get a relief from 7 to a drop like that, that's just heartwarming. And that's what keeps us going at Vet Trip. You know, we don't have ways to measure is a diagnosis been reversed. We just know we get people feeling better, but they're in this game with us. They're not just showing up for a nice massage. They're getting the whole package and learning what to do for themselves at home, and they're teaching their spouses, their families, or their neighbors. So we want all this knowledge, all these techniques to just go out to the world, to everybody. But I'm truly thrilled that somebody's stress could drop that much.
Thank you. This presentation that we're doing this evening is what we normally do after veterans have come in and let us work with them for 3 to 5 times. So we call this the stage 2 training. And so we're literally showing, we first do it for them because they're just absolutely incapacitated by their pain and stress. And once they start getting better, they come in and then we show them how to do it on themselves and show them how to do it with their partner or their spouse or family member. Because if you can work with somebody else, that builds that bond. And many people with PTSD and high pain have difficult times with family relationships. Just nobody understands. and they just can't get over how frustrated and how helpless they feel. So giving them the power of doing something for themselves, helping the other family members, and then receiving that with gratitude is an incredible process for that healing process. So, we've overwhelmed you all with all the different techniques, and this is just a small fraction of those that we use. So we have a strategy. If you want to figure out how to use all these multiple things, sit down and take a note, 5 different things that you thought you'd like to try, but only pick one of them. And you do it every day, multiple times a day for 30 days. If you'll do one thing, you have an 85% chance of doing it for 30 days, and then it's a habit. If you pick 2 things, you got about 35% chance, and if you pick 3 things, you got about 15% chance. So if you'll start small, incremental, I mean, it may be 2 things. Maybe this does it, and the ear point does it for your feet. But pick that one thing that you can do every day, do it for 30 days, and if you got results, stay with it and add something else, and then start the process for another 30 days. In 12 months, you'll have transformed your lives. And that's what it's all about. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And so this is a strategy that simplifies everything that we're showing you. Of course, like a potluck or a smorgasbord, you're going to go after the ones you like best, but the things that you've liked best, you had to try them first in order to find that out. So try some of these techniques and see what works for you. To summarize, eat, drink, sleep, think, and exercise is what you're looking to transform those portions of your life. Make your gut happy. Use living food, fermented food, take a good probiotic, avoid allergens, and exercise. Exercise is just important to digestion as the other. Hydrate, drink living water that's pure, chlorine-free. Use filters to take them out, but leave the minerals in because you need those minerals. And drink enough water. You'll find that most of you are drinking coffee and soft drinks and stuff, and you actually need more water to flush that out of your system. Get some sleep. Make it as routine as possible. These are some of the steps we go through. So I'm not going to read the slide to you, but you can come back and review this when we post this online, but it's also in the outline. Think calming thoughts, whether you call it meditating or praying or breathing or singing or mindfulness. If you have trouble with the chatter going on in your head, turn to passage meditation, memorize some affirmations or prayers, and give that part of your mind something to think about while you then drift off into calm awareness. One of the great quotes that we've read is, be careful how you're talking to yourself because you are listening. If you've been talking to yourself a certain way for 40 years and you think that 5-minute wonder is going to change it, it may, and those miracles happen. But give yourself a few weeks of listening to some positive affirmations. Dottie's technique with the EFT, you have to bring it up in order to release it in your body. We find the same thing physically that goes on. So we're not focusing on those bad things. We're just bringing them up and then releasing them and then focusing on how it feels to feel good and reinforcing that. So do that with your thoughts as well. Replace or displace, substitute in some positive thoughts on a regular basis and see if that doesn't change how things go in your life. And exercise can be a little bit of everything. There's so much research showing it. But one of the really great tricks is smile while you're doing it. If it's hurting and you have pain already, it's not working for you. So do enjoyable exercise. And it's really about figuring out what makes you thrive. Whether it takes energy or grounding, walking barefoot in the grass, or doing things like Tai Chi and Qigong and yoga for balance, or doing some acupressure points for relaxation or healing, cleansing your body, there's various cleanses you can do, or just doing something simple like parade rest to relax yourself and release some of the tension. Find what works for you and do it. And the bottom line is, figure out what makes you relax. Whether it's chilling, or laid out, or having some tunes, or something very simple, or going to the beach, which is a big fan for me. I'm a big fan of going to the beach. But find social distancing, find out where it's legal and all that. Use prudent care. But getting to relaxation is what it's all about. So, do we have any other questions that have come up, Gary?
Leslie just sent a text that she sent a call out to everyone, last call for questions.
Okay.
And I don't have anything yet.
I'll go ahead and address any other questions. Is there anything else you need to add before we finish up here? I always finish. I start with the prayer for protection, which we slip past, and we're going to do it at the end. But I always end presentations with a story that came from the Native American story. Oh, here's some links, and it's in the outline as well. Some of the 3 websites that I follow for nutritional and supplement helps are Dr. McCullough's website, Dr. Michael Gerber, and Ed Dodge. And Ed Dodge is part of our congregation here in the Braunfels. And he has a wonderful story how, as an MD, he cured his bladder cancer with nutrition. And so it's a wonderful story, and he's written at least one book about it. So has Michael Greger. If you need more information about COVID-19, here's the top 4 websites that have really good information in it without all the political hype and stuff. Politics are going crazy with this disease. But go to the CDC. One of the symptoms is a dry cough. That wasn't a cough from being infected, but if you have a dry cough, if you have a fever, if you have difficulty breathing, those are the serious symptoms, and you need to call and ask about coming into doctors and medical care. But the CDC has all that information on there. It's the best source information. The state of Texas has all the pronouncements from the governor and the state resources online. And whatever city you're in, or for whatever state you're in, go to the city of San Antonio, or the city of New Braunfels, or whatever city you're in, and they will have something on what they're doing to enforce social distancing and other things. For those of you that are looking for your paycheck that's coming from the government, I've had friends that said that theirs arrived today, thank goodness, but go to the IRS COVID-19, but just go to irs.gov, and those will be the best websites to go to and stay away from all the politics. I end with the story of the 2 wolves. This story has been handed down in Native American cultures for hundreds of years. It's been written down in the mid-70s, and I found out about it in the mid-80s, and I put together these pictures about it. It goes like this. A young Indian boy goes to his grandfather, full of anger, over a friend who has done him an injustice. The grandfather says, "Let me tell you a story. I too, at times, have felt a great hate for those that have taken so much from me with no sorrow for what they do. But hate wears you down and does not hurt your enemy. It's like taking poison and wishing your enemy would die. I have struggled with these feelings many times. It's as if there are 2 wolves inside of me. One is centered, he does no harm, he lives in harmony with all around him, and does not take offense when no offense was intended. He will only fight when it's right to do so, and in the right way. But the other wolf, he's full of anger. The littlest thing will set him off in a fit of temper. He fights everyone all the time for no reason. He cannot think because the anger and hate are so great. It's helpless anger, for his anger will change nothing. Sometimes it's hard to live with these 2 wolves inside of me, for both of them are trying to dominate my spirit." The boy looks into his grandfather's eyes and asks, "Which one wins?" "The one I feed." I hope you take this message the way that I've taken it over the years, that the more I can work on myself to do good and healthy things, the more that I can serve others and help others, the better I feel myself. Gratitude received is as important as gratitude given. Every culture has a tradition of doing energy work, doing prayerful meditation, doing the type of techniques that we're showing you here. So there's a vast resource there that you can tap. We have many people in our congregation that are practitioners. In fact, we launched Vet Trip back in 2009 using members of this congregation as the practitioners of Reiki and massage and other techniques. Dottie, would you like to add anything before we wrap up?
Do we have any questions? Okay, why don't we have Gary come up and do the prayer of protection with us?
Yes, please. We always start with that, and I'm sorry we didn't, but we can go back in time and add that to it.
Yes,
So, Gary, please.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And it's forever illumined and blessed is what I add, because when I learned that prayer, that's what I always said, and that's what I learned.
Beautiful. And I'd like all of us, in our gratitude for Bob and Dottie's presentation tonight, to go inside, breathe, and hold the highest success for the grants to come to Vet Trip easily and effortlessly, because we want these tools and this wisdom to serve as many people as possible. And their open hearts were so eager to present this to you, knowing that these tools can help us through this time of stress and all this change. So let's keep that idea and give that to God, because the lavish abundance of God is already preparing the way for those grants to be satisfied. And that's good work.
Thank you
both. It's wonderful to have you here, and I hope you'll continue to join us for our Wednesday healing and meditation service. Next week is Earth Day, Wednesday, and we're going to have a wonderful celebration of Earth Day right here, so join us next week at 6:30. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate this opportunity.